All right, it is 7/18/23, so it's a Tuesday, and that means we have our weekly shrine update. We are a couple days removed from the 7th year anniversary, so we no longer have the daily updates and we no longer have the 1500 iridescent shard perks. They're 2000 now, but fortunately, we still have some pretty good ones here. And I will say these are all behavior IP. They are not licensed. If they're licensed, we usually recommend the shrine a little bit more for any of our friends that are not looking to spend real cash on chapters. And with behavior IP, there's always the option to spend your iridescent shards on the chapter or the character and unlock with BP. But for a lot of people, they may not want to play these characters. They just want to grab perks. So we're going to go into these perks, talk about them, and see which ones are worth your iridescent shards. Our first perk here, we'll kind of jump into our killer perks and then our survivor perks. The first one here is Blood Echo, and this is an Oni perk. And basically, when you hook a survivor, all other injured survivors suffer from hemorrhage and exhaustion for 45 seconds, and it has a cooldown of 60 seconds. So you can't just repeat down people real quickly and keep applying this. But if it takes you 60 seconds to get another down and then get to another hook, you're only having 15 seconds of downtime between the effect wearing off and the cooldown. So not too bad there. Hemorrhage, what's hemorrhage useful for? Hemorrhage, think sloppy butcher and different add-ons. It helps with tracking, right? Bigger, more pools of blood. And it also helps with regression on healing if you can interrupt healing. So that's always useful. And then exhaustion. Exhaustion affects any of your exhaustion perks. So those would be your sprint bursts, your lives, your dead hards, your adrenaline at the end game. It also helps with made for this, which doesn't apply when you're exhausted. What else? Iron Will. There's a number of them. So it helps with a lot of things, and especially in this made for this meta. This can be a useful perk. The key thing though is you need to be hooking people and you need to be keeping people injured, right? So coming to mind right away, Plague Legion. I know we've used this to some decent effect on Plague. We play Plague a lot more than Legion. We play a little bit of Legion. A friend of ours is a Legion main, so they always give us a hard time. We just feel like Plague feels a little bit like a better Legion with keeping everybody injured, though Legion can be a lot more fun with the constantly running around getting people injured. So we'll show a build with this, but definitely a perk to consider in the current meta. I will say we'll use our little handy dandy pen here. We think this is more of an off meta perk, but it's definitely a counter to some meta perks. So this is kind of in our second tier. It's not going to work on everyone, right? There's a lot of killers out there that are not trying to keep survivors injured. They're trying to get one shots, or they might chase until somebody's down and then go to the next person. But if you have a killer that is very good at keeping people injured, this perk can definitely counter some of the meta perks out there. Our second one here is a plague perk, and that's Dark Devotion. And basically, you become obsessed with one survivor. When the obsession loses a health state, your terror radius transfers to the obsession for 30 seconds, and its radius is 32 meters. You are then undetectable. So this can be a stealth perk. It can be kind of a sleight of hand perk in that it sends your terror radius other places. We've seen it used more meme, right? Doctor, things like that. Some people may argue that there's some off meta builds, like second tier builds that use this. Maybe on certain killers. We just think it's more of kind of a meme perk. It's fun. It can be sneaky, but there's better stealth perks out there. And we think there's more reliable, undetectable perks out there. So uh, it's kind of in a weird place, but it can be a lot of fun. So those are kind of our killer perks there, real quick. We're gonna keep toggling this pen just that way we can uh, more clearly show what the perks do, but then we'll put it up for the summary at the end. So survivor perks, we have Deliverance, which for some reason we haven't. I guess we've only taken Adam to Prestige 2. We'll have to get him to 3 there eventually. But what this does is it gives you a 100% chance of unhooking yourself during an escape attempt, but you have to unhook somebody safely before. So if you're the first one found, sorry, this perk does nothing. But if you can get that unhook, then you can save a lot of time not having to wait for somebody to come get you. If the killer's camping, you can just pop off after waiting until the last second and just undo all of that pressure they had trying to get you to second stage. Very good perk. Typically, if you're running a Swift, you'll have somebody with a designated uh, Deliverance player to go get the unhook and then wait on the hook while you pound out gens. Good perk. This is definitely a meta perk. It's not one that you're going to see run on all 4 survivors in the Swift, but it's definitely one that is probably going to be in your 16 if you got a four-man going on. It's definitely a meta perk. It's one we consider picking up. And then we have our last perk, which is Dance With Me, which is a Kate Dennison perk. Kate's got some solid perks, so we will say we may recommend just getting Kate and using blood points. She has a bunch of these kind of like niche perks that have a strong ability, right? She's got boil over, so you can try to wiggle off. She's got windows, which is just strong for seeing where to go next for pallets and windows for loops. And then Dance With Me is one where when performing a fast vault or leaving a locker in a sprint, you leave no scratch marks for 3 seconds. This works real well for a Houdini style build. If you are not a strong looper, there's two builds I would recommend. One uses Dance With Me and Lithe, Quick and Quiet, some perks like that. And then another one would be a Lucky Break sort of build with Quick and Quiet. What else we have in there? Uh, the Joan Exhaustion perk that I can't think of right now, where when you get hit, you disappear or run longer. Uh, that's not that's not this perk, but we'll show the Dance With Me build that we kind of recommend. You kind of have one flex perk there, but then you got three that are kind of all the same. You just want to lose line of sight, sprint away, and then they won't have scratch marks to follow anymore. So we'll kind of show some builds here, and then we'll come back to our final thoughts here. But I think this is one that it's more niche. It's more of a build around or a build around enabler, right? This is one that goes along with your build. It's not what the build's focused on, but for our purposes, it goes in a build around sort of setup there. So we'll hop over to the builds, show some of these perks in action, and mainly these two, right? Dark Devotion's more me. We're not really going to show that. Deliverance is going to be one of your four perks. You can slot it in with three other meta perks. You're going to be okay, especially with base kit BT. You don't need to bring BT or anything anymore. But these two we're definitely going to showcase. All right, so first killer build, Plague is what jumps to our mind right away. You could run something similar on Legion as well, but here's a solid build here, right? You've got Discordance to show you where to go, where they're trying to double up on gens. Plaything, kind of a chase perk, and then Plaything also enables your Pentimento for the late game, but Blood Echo is just one of those kind of slow down and chase perks all in one. Helps you deal with the fact that survivors, especially made for this, are super fast. A lot of times it can be hard to use your power in loops with Plague, and it can even be hard just power through pallets and M1 them. So a combination of Blood Echo and then something like Worship Tablet and then some extra pools helps you get your power and be able to get people down with your power. You could run something similar to this on Legion as well. And then if we're talking kind of a Houdini build, we'll hop over to Survivor and try to showcase one of those. I don't think we have one. We used to have one on Kate. I don't think we have it on Kate right now, but we can certainly put one on for our purposes here. We could search, but we're being lazy, so we're just going to look real quick. So Dance With Me. I don't even know what perk we had there. We'll go over here. So Dance With Me is kind of an enabler of this build. You want it quick and quiet. We'll take live. And then this third spot or fourth spot could be a lot of different things. Lightweight's certainly an option that everybody's going to have. Or maybe we don't. Apparently, we don't have lightweight on there. We just haven't leveled up Kate enough. Basically, the idea here is you find a window, you break line of well, you break line of sight, you find a window. You can even run windows here if you want to help with your looping. Lightweight would work as well, just to lose the scratch marks later on. But something like this would definitely work. So break line of sight. Windows helps you find a vault. You vault, your speed burst, quick and quiet makes the vault quiet. And then because you vaulted, you leave no scratch marks for 3 seconds. So you just take off across the map. Doesn't require being injured or anything. Just as simple as that. The key is breaking line of sight so they don't just watch you run away and know exactly where you went. But if you can break line of sight, you definitely can escape a lot with this build and then go about your business trying to do gens or whatever else. So highly recommend for those of us that are not very good in chase. It's not going to make you better in chase. It's just going to help you escape. If you want to be better in chase, then you just need to get in chases and put in the time. But for some people that are just playing more casually and they're like, fine, going for rescues, gen jockeying, that kind of stuff, you definitely can use this to help you if you are weak in chase. So that brings us back here, just our final thoughts here. We're going to wrap these up, but we definitely would consider picking up Deliverance as our first choice, and we're probably gonna pass on Dark Devotion unless you really want to go for the memes and some weird stealthy builds. And then these others, we'll say we'll pick up Blood Echo if you play somebody like Plague or Legion. If you play Plague or Leg, then we'd consider picking up this one. If not, we'd probably let it go. Blood Echo's good if you can guarantee you're going to keep them injured. If you're not going to have a lot of people injured, not as good. And that kind of brings us to our last one, Dance with Me. If you want one of those kind of Houdini builds, then we pick this up. So we'll call it a getaway build. So these two are maybes. This one's a definite pickup, and this is probably a no for us. So that's just kind of our thoughts real quick. We showed some builds as well. If we do play some of these builds and try to showcase them, we get any good footage, we'll post that up at the end of the video as well. But again, I'm Smig. Hopefully, these kind of help you make some decisions on how to spend your hard-earned iridescent shards. We love doing educational content, and we hope you leave some comments, leave some suggestions, and maybe we'll see you on stream or sometime in the fog. Take care.